I'm the oldest of five, born in 7 years. So we're all very close in age. And from the very time that I was very young, my mother would always say, Kathleen, you have to take care of your brothers and sisters. You're the oldest. So as long as I can remember, I've been a caretaker. I never really wanted to do anything but teach. It's really it's all I can ever remember wanting to do. Early childhood is not a well-paying field. To stay in this field has required sacrifices, not only for me personally, but my husband, my 4 kids. They had to make a lot of sacrifices growing up. Money was tight and resources were slim, and they made the sacrifices right along with me. Most people in early childhood especially, but a lot of people in education in general, are working second jobs. I know one of our teachers drives Uber, another one works at a pharmacy, so they're working second jobs. But we're still, even though we're struggling to pay our own bills, carrying bags of stuff in with them to provide for the students that we have. Those kids, every single day, they're the ones that keep me going, they're the ones that keep me coming back. I am Alice. Asset, limited, income, constrained, employed. When we had our kids, we were very, very young. I mean, we were really young when we got married, and we were very young when the kids were born. And we were very optimistic that it was all going to work out and everything would be fine. We got a bill right after my son's heart surgery for $88,000. Had a panic attack, and then started making phone calls. And they're like, well, the insurance company said that it wasn't covered. And, so then I went through battles, arguing back and forth. On top of the additional expense of going for all of these, there was the expense of now my paycheck is smaller than I thought it was going to be. And when you're trying to pay them all off, everybody wants payment now. So I'm like, you get $1, you get $1, you get $5, and I'll just keep doing this until it's paid off or I die. One of the two things happens. We had been struggling, but getting through. And that year is kind of the year that everything fell apart, and we never did get back from it. We tried. We were going to lose the house. I'm like, nope, we're done. So that's when I finally went through with it and declared bankruptcy. It was our last resort. It was the only way we were going to keep the house. So. My youngest son's senior year at Wilkes, his senior year financial aid disappeared. So my husband and I had to pay out of pocket for his senior year. We couldn't get any loans. We were completely and utterly tapped out at that point. Did everything we possibly could do to get that paid so that he could graduate on time. The last actual vacation I took that did not involve anything medical and anything to do with the kids was Niagara Falls. And we're coming up on our 30th wedding anniversary this November, so it's been 10 years. There's a lot of things we'd like to do. We just don't have the money to do it. So it waits. This is the reality of life today. No matter how hard you work, no matter how many jobs you work, if you don't fall into the very, very below where you can get assistance, or in the very upper tier where you can afford to live, you're struggling and you're swimming, and all it takes is one bad thing to happen and everything falls apart. And no matter how hard you work, you never get out of that hole. Never. It's hard to think that you've worked your entire life and have nothing to show for it. And I know that I do. I know I have a roof over my head, and a lot of people don't. And I have 4 kids who are great, great kids. So I realize that I am blessed, and I realize that I am fortunate, and more fortunate than a lot of people. But there are also days when I feel absolutely buried, and I feel like I'm drowning, because it just feels like I'm never going to get out from under, and not worry about where the money's coming from and what we're going to have to sacrifice in order to do it. I am Alice. I think there's a whole lot of people out there that are Alice and probably are afraid to admit that they're Alice. Don't give up. even though you feel like it. I frequently feel like it. But we've got to stick together, and more people have to start coming out. And it's hard to admit it. It's hard to admit that, you're struggling. No one's life is perfect. We've all got to be together, and we've all got to get together and demand that things change.